Hi there, and welcome to Inside the Wooniverse, a podcast brought to you from the corner of Fringe in Maine. I'm your host, Colette Baron-Reid. Joining us today is vibration lifter and energy shifter, Christine Michelle. Now, Christine is the founder and CEO of the Aligned Soul by Anna Hobb international transformation brand and the author of the amazing book, The Aligned Receiver. After working as a corporate executive for over 20 years with some of the world's most recognized brands like Coca-Cola and Victoria's Secret, Christine has emerged as a quantum manifesting expert who helps to optimize your frequency, your business, and your life. And I'm telling you, she is amazing. By merging modern tools with ancient practices, Christine helps you remember who TF, and you know what that means, you truly are, obliterate old stories, and embody who you came here to be now. So welcome to the Wooniverse, Christine. Yay, you're here. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited. This conversation has been waiting to be had, and now is the time. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're kindred souls. We've been discovering as we've been waiting to get on here. So we love to start off with origin stories in the Wooniverse.
Yes.
And I've heard you say that you were woo-woo since you could walk. So tell me and tell us, what was your childhood like and why'd you say that?
Yeah, definitely. So it's funny because I grew up, my parents, my mom and dad, hello, New Orleans, they grew up very Christian, or we grew up very in a Christian household. But my parents were
Mhm.
also ask, believe, receive. And so it was a different kind of Christianity than what we grew up in. And so, I mean, I read Abraham Hicks books. I was all about like, I get to create my own reality. And this was way before The
Uh,
Secret, guys, because I am a little bit older. So this is like we're talking about in the 70s and 80s. And so but we really my mom really ever we asked, we got to receive. And so that's just the way I grew up. My mom, she also has gifts. So when she was a young girl, she lived in New Orleans and Hurricane Betsy was coming. And if she looked at the
mhm.
wall and she saw a wall of water rushing towards the home, and she was like, okay, we need to go to the roof. And so she took all of her brothers and all of her sisters, it was six of them, my great grandmother, and they moved up to the roof. And as they were going up the roof, my mom looked out at one of the windows and a wall of water was coming.
That is the scariest thing ever.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was
God.
really scary.
That's wild. So I want to just go back because you said something fascinating. All right. So were you around when Abraham Hicks was mailing? Because I used to get the law of attraction mailed to me, right? In that, like, remember Esther and like the Hicks? They was like, yeah, like you would get it to your house, and with the ask, believe, receive. That's what you were referencing, right?
Yes, yes. It was like you had the books, remember? So they had all the books in it. And you
Yeah,
can tell if you look at the pictures and the covers of the books, you know those been around forever.
the
Like
old ones. Yes. So the concept of Christianity, which is the I love that you brought that up because I went to Unity Church for a while, for a long time actually, and I loved it. And I was also raised Christian, although I had some mixed up background. But I think that when you trust that God, Spirit, Jesus, whatever the languaging around that is your doesn't see you as flawed. I think that's the other piece that right that's a big piece I think,
yes.
and therefore if it tell me if this is correct. When your mother received that information, right, that's a blessing. She got that blessing and then took all the family at the top of the roof. Would you say that it was because she was tuned in and already expecting to be right? Like, is there expectation around this?
Yeah, I think she didn't I think at that age she didn't know, but she just was so open to receive. She was an open
Ah,
receptor. And she always was the one in the family that was a lot more positive, a lot more open to receive messages and receive that and didn't see it as something bad, right? Because if you go to traditional religion and traditional things,
right,
receiving things outside of a book is bad. And so she
right.
didn't see that as bad, right? And so she was an open receptor. She received, and then she was able to save the lives of her entire family. And
Oh,
I received those gifts, similar gifts to my mom. And so like when I was younger, I could see, like, I saw angels sitting on top of the house, and this was after we had been broken into. Like, we had experienced a robbery, but none of us were home, right? Again, as a
wow.
child, I was like, well, God, God blessed us. We weren't home. I always looked at that as,
Uh-huh.
the thing. And then, but there was a piece, right? Because your parents are wanting to protect you, so they get fearful. And so
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm afraid. And we're now afraid to be in the house alone. And as we were walking, it was my mom, my sister, and I said, Mom, I see um Archangel Michael, and they're sitting on top of the house. And I was like, we're protected. There's no need for us to be afraid. And that was the last time my mom or dad or any of us were ever afraid to live in that house.
Wow. That's so
So,
amazing.
and that's a child,
How
right?
did you
So
see Angel? What was your experience of the angels?
it wasn't fearful. We were walking down the street, and I look up and I saw this big being, and it was like a being.
Right.
I don't even think there were wings. It was more white,
Like light.
and yeah, like light, but it was a
Yeah,
humanoid-ish
yeah.
being.
Uh-huh.
And it was that, and then I saw two other beings smaller with them, but I've never heard of Archangel Michael before in my life. I think I was like 10 or whatever. I don't know. And my mom's like, okay, we're safe. And that's all she needed to hear. And then there was no, like, the fear just really just diminished in the house.
I love that. So, growing up, obviously you were intuitive. And how did you put intuition and manifestation together? Like, when did it start to become obvious to you that you had this direct line to receiving and manifesting? Are those the relationship between the two?
Yes. Okay. So my mom, she always told us to write down what we wanted and know that we would receive it, right? Write down what you wanted. This is when scripting starts, right? So so when I was
Uh-huh.
younger, I always used to say, well, here's my list, and God, go do it. And I always would receive it. It wasn't even that I gave it to my mom and dad. It was everything would unfold. And then when I was 6 years old, I tapped in and I told my mom, I said, Mom, this is what's going to happen in my life. I was like, I'm going to live in New York. I'm going to work in the beauty industry. I was like, I'm going to have my own business. I just really told her all of these things. And my mom and I talk, and when we come back, all of those things that I said at 6 years old, all have come true. And so the way my mom taught us is that what we asked for got to come. And so when
Ah.
I felt something in my heart that was something that I desired, I believe that when I wrote it down or when I spoke it aloud, this is what I want, that it got to come.
Oh, interesting. So, do you think that there's a relationship between the believing? I mean, I know what the answer is, but what does it feel like to you, right? The believing and the receiving, because I think that you believe then receive, as opposed to receive then you believe after, right? Like, you have to do it in advance.
Yes. And what I love, especially now, I even tell my clients, I said, you get to know that the desire inside your heart is inevitable. Like, the desire wouldn't come from you, from either God within you, sugar daddy, however you want to call it, source. It wouldn't come from within you if it wasn't already yours and you just get to receive it. And I love to call manifestation intentional receiving. And so you get
Yeah,
to believe or know that because I have this desire, it is already done. Will doubts come up? Yes. But you get to give more credence to your beliefs and to what you desire more than your doubts. And so when your doubts come, you get
right.
to say, okay, that's one of a billion possibilities. Maybe it won't work. And don't make yourself wrong for that coming up. Say, maybe it won't work. This is where you believe, well, this could happen. And what else? But there's 762 billion other possibilities where it does. And so then start focusing on those place could be possible. What else am I open to receiving right now? So do you see how, like, you can live with the doubt, right? But just having that little kernel, mustard seed of belief that it is possible is enough to allow yourself to receive what is inevitably yours.
I love that you call it inevitable because I think that's where we say too, be careful what you pray for. So whatever you intend, whatever your attention goes to, it's what you actually nurture whatever it is that you're focused on. As soon as you put your attention on it, there's an inevitability around that. Hence why I do think too that, and you and I talked about this before we got on the call today, was really about, how people, if it's so important that we do the shadow work and not bypass, when we were talking about cultural conditioning and things like that, but not to dwell in it. It's like, yes, that, but where is our attention going to go? What is the solution where the attention goes? And it's a lot simpler than we make it. It's like, what is source? If I put my attention on God, like for me, and this is my language, right? So I have no problem with the word God. I don't think it's the white man in the sky. That's not what I think it is. It's this sense of this, or this conscious intelligence, or this conscious universe, source energy. That's my primary relationship. Right. And that's if that comes first and everything else, and divine love, how can I bring divine love to this? Right.
Yes. Yes.
And
And
I really, yeah. Okay. So let's go back to your, the epic of you. So what was the catalyst? I'm trying to, when you left your corporate position, because you were in the corporate world for 20 years, obviously that was
yes.
the beauty industry, right?
Yes, I was in actually it was consumer goods, and then I was in the beauty industry. So consumer goods with the Coca-Cola company, and then
Oh
I
yeah.
was in the beauty industry with Victoria's Secret. And then
Wow.
I decided to retire and I came to Florida, but I didn't know what I really wanted to do. So guess where I ended back in the corporate.
Oh yeah. Well, it's safe, right?
Yeah, it was safe. It was safe. And so, what the catalyst was to finally actually do this full time was okay. I love leading and guiding, and I love having like a team. And even when I was in corporate, I always mixed like the spiritual manifestation with
Yep.
the strategic and then creative. So I was always like uber creative but uber strategic, and then I would always bring my spirituality into it. And so I was with a company and they loved me, and they were like, oh, what we want to do is we're going to take you away from the group of people that you're leading, and we
Uh-oh.
want you to be able to use right, we want you to be able to use your strategic and your creative here to help us do this. And I went home and I cried. I was crying. And what I woke, after having my tears and feeling the feels, I was like, you know what? I wouldn't be this upset if that piece was something that was super important to me, which was the guiding, the leading, having the
Mhm.
community and the people. And so when I felt that, and I was like, okay, this one, I don't want to be another place where other people can decide for me what I get to work on and what I
Mhm.
get to do. And I know that it is important for me to create a community, like a membership, or just be and create an audience, right?
Yep.
Where I get to help them tap into their fullness. And because
Mhm.
that's what I was doing. And it didn't matter if it was under the guise of a corporate organization or whatever, it's still what I was doing, the core. And when that core got taken away, it didn't sit right with my soul. And so
Yep.
that was the crux, to be like, nope, no more. And I decided that this was something I was going to do full time.
Oh, it's so amazing. And then inevitably, right? Because the inevitability of that, once you claim it, then you don't even have to worry about the how, because spirit will bring it to you, knock on your door. And, oh, I love it. So, something I've heard you say is that you need to mix the woo with the do.
Yes.
Can you explain what that means to our listeners?
Yes. Okay. So, woo, people love to, I decided to embrace woo because people like to use woo as like a negative word, or, oh, she's so woo
Oh,
woo, right?
I know. That's why we call this the Wooniverse, right? Because I took it on just like you, and I'm like, I'm claiming this.
Claiming it.
Anyway,
I love it, right? And so what I love to do is I'm uber spiritual, right? So I know that my one step gets to go 3,000 steps because God is doing the things, right? The God within me and all around me is
yep.
handling it. But I also know that as a human, I get to take action. I get to do
Hmm.
movements. I get to move in alignment. And that's what I came here to do, to thrive, to move, to take action, to be, and to enjoy this life. And so a lot of people you'll see they'll be too far woo, right? So they'll do the
Yeah.
woo, they'll do the meditations, they'll do the vision board, they'll do
Lala.
the things. And then from within them, they're like, oh, call this person or go create this or go share this. And then they still go back to, meditating and looking at the vision board and not taking the action and
Yep.
not doing the practical steps. And so you have got to take that and mix it with this. And that is going to go so far. Like you've got to do
Right.
the woo plus the do. One without the other it just
No.
doesn't go as far as it can.
Yeah, you end up to be an armchair astronaut too,
Yeah.
right? You just sit there going, "I'm going to the stars," but you never leave the chair, right? So,
Never leave the
and
chair.
I think that's really telling, and what I know your work to offer people, and everybody, you're going to get a chance to check out her book after, but is give the practical steps, and that is something that is needed. Like, what do I do next? It's like I've got the vision board, I'm doing the meditations, but what are some of those practical steps? And I think when you have the map, right? And Joseph Campbell said, you take one step towards the gods, they will take 10 towards you. So you don't want to rush by them either, right? Because that's when the willfulness comes in, where you go, oh, I'm taking all the steps now, bye, right? And then it's like, wait a sec, but God just came here and gave you what you wanted, and you just kept running thinking it's all about you, right? So there's that fine line between overdoing and overproducing and go, 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 and being a human doing versus the kind of do to the woo that you share with people.
Yes, and it has a lot to do with too embodiment and being present in your body and listening to your body. So when
Yeah.
a lot of people, especially women, get scared when you're like, yes, you get to take action. And then they're like, well, I might be exhausted. And I'm like, you would never get exhausted if you're truly listening to your body. And if you're truly like combining that woo and that spiritual, right? I love to say there's like three or four like powers, right? So you have willpower, right? That's us
Hmm.
doing, right?
Yep.
And then you have your personal power, right? Where you're stepping into your personal power and be like, I know I can do this. I know I can do
Yep.
this, right? And then you have spiritual power that everyone forgets about. You have God, universe,
Yep.
source. You've got the angels. You've got so much unseen forces that are here to support you when you ask for that
Hmm.
help, right? And then you have like circumstantial power. That's where you give your power away to other things, circumstances, society, ancestral stuff. You don't have to give your power away. What if your ancestral wounds were not just wounds, they were also power, right? What if you
Yep.
could use those things that you've experienced in your lifetimes or in your bloodline as your fuel, as the source, as what you get to do to help you move forward, right? And so you
Hmm.
have those four powers, none's better than the other, but there's when it's imbalance is when you're trying to use one way more.
Yeah. And I do think that what you're teaching and what you offer people is about bringing those four into balance because, two of them could be atrophied. We've been conditioned to give it up.
Yeah.
Right. And there is this, I always think that we're being hypnotized sometimes, with media, et cetera, about, oh no, you have to be this way. But we're like, well, wait a minute now. I actually can make a shift. I can be deliberate about my creations as if I have these imbalance, and also to be recognizing that you will sometimes fall asleep at the wheel, right? And then you have to get back up again. So
Yeah.
let's keep going. So you talk about vibration and mindset and how they matter together. So let's talk about your view on that. What does it mean when it comes to meditation?
Yes. Okay. So, what I like to do, I call it PEV. So, your personal energetic vibration, which is made up of what your thoughts, your beliefs, your feelings, your emotions, your intentions, your actions, and decisions. And so, that's just who you are, right? As you're moving through. And your personal energetic vibration is what is attracting, different things into your life. And so, mindset is so important, yes, but you'll see that that's just a piece of your
Yep.
vibration. It's all about holistic when you are intentionally receiving the things you desire, right? So you can have your mindset on point, but then your emotions are all scattered. You don't want to feel
Mm,
happy. You don't want to feel sad. I mean, you only want to feel happy. You don't want to feel sad. You don't want to be angry. You
yep.
don't, you're doing all of this. So you're bypassing this or not allowing yourself to fully feel this. And then you're spending so much time in meditation that you're not even in your body, right? You're not even in your body. You don't even know what your body wants. You're not even moving. You're not even allowing the stuck energy that's there to flow. And so it really is about taking all three of those, right, and bringing them um, into union with each other, right? Because
Hmm.
your brain is just a marvelous thing. I'm not the person that's going to say, kill your ego sucks. No, it's a
No, I'm
marvelous thing. But it's about utilizing it for what it's best for, imagination, for inspiration, right? For asking those questions so you can allow God and spirit to answer those questions for you and bring those answers through you, right? Where our problem is where we use and only rely on the mind. And so then
yeah.
we say we need to do meditation to quiet the mind, but forget we need to move our bodies to really listen to that as well.
Well, we've been conditioned to disconnect from our bodies too, or to separate them somehow. And I've struggled with that myself. Like I have, it's I my husband would always laugh if I bump into something because it's like, okay, you got to get grounded, get grounded. Like I have to be really present and be very conscious of my body, and because I've had in the past some resistance to that, and what you are sharing with us is a real way to heal
Yeah.
and to be fully empowered, right? To bring that in and not to be it's not about controlling the body. It's just it's listening to it. Right,
Yes.
it's listening to it. Yeah, it took me a while to figure that one out too. And I know when I read it, I'm like, oh my God, all my little bells, I goosebumps. I'm going, that's exactly what I struggled with, that I had personally had to get to too. Right. So it's not like we're going to get that just by hearing about it. We have to experience it and
What the
allowing it, because
experience.
it can be scary. For some people, it's actually scary to listen to their body.
And you think about why. Think about what you're
Mm-hmm.
told ever since you're younger, right? The flesh
Yep.
is sin. The
Mm-hmm.
body is bad. You came into a body you don't listen to it, right? There's so many things that we're
Yeah.
told about this beautiful body that is a wisdom being, like that has all knowing, right? And we've been told so many things about the body that we don't trust it. Oh, I can't listen to myself or
Yep.
the body. And I can
Mm-hmm.
only listen to here because other people have put different messages here, so I must listen to other people over trusting what this. And so it's important, and it's challenging, but just to stop and listen and ask your body,
Yeah.
oh, what would you like to eat, or where would you like to go, or what movement would you like to do, and really like allow your body to speak to you. That puts you in a more grounded space to be the human that you're here to be and experience the life that you're meant to experience.
And don't you agree that the body is the instrument of intuition? So
Yes.
it really is it we're like a guitar with various strings, or maybe a 12-string guitar, and it's getting plucked in a certain way, and you learn that your intuition expresses itself through your body. It's not a mental thing at all. And
Yes.
it's not emotional either. It is physical.
It's physical. I love to call your intuition your God voice because,
Yeah.
I believe that God speaks through us. God is within us and all around us, right? And
Mhm.
and we are made of God. We are God, right?
Yep.
And so I love to call the intuition your God voice, and it is speaking through your body. It
Yeah.
is speaking through, like you can feel when things are like in your body, you can just feel when things are like, oh, you lean towards things that you really are desiring to do. And you know when it's time to rest. And you know when, when you can tune
Yep.
into that instrument that is leading and guiding you through life, like it's just so powerful. It's the body is the guide, and then the mind will listen to the
Mhm.
body, but you've got to give the body that agency.
So, in your opinion, then, what is one thing that people might overlook when it comes to manifesting with ease? Let's think about like, or even making themselves more magnetic. What would be that kind of hurdle that everybody needs to know about today?
I love this question. Oh, there's so much. Okay. So,
I know we
well,
could talk for hours.
I know. Well, I feel like the big thing is to demystify it is that manifestation, I call it intentional receiving, right? And this is
Yeah.
when I'm talking about intentional manifestation. But the first thing I want everyone to remember is that you are always manifesting. Everything in front of you, everything
Hmm.
we're using right now came from a thought, an idea, an energy. It was energy. This microphone before it was created and it was energy. It was a thought. And
Yeah.
then it was brought into and actualized into this 3D matter, right? And so if you know that everything you are, everything you do, everything you experience, you are manifesting, right? I coined this term and trademarked it. It's manifestation in motion. Right?
Ah.
We are manifestation in motion. And when you can know that that's just naturally what you do, then you get to use this power intentionally.
Yeah.
And so when you get to, instead of doing it by autopilot, right? And like things just happening to you, you get to utilize your environment, utilize your energy to allow yourself to receive, intentional receiving the things that you
Yeah.
desire. And so let's let manifestation, let's remember that we are already manifestation like powerhouses. It's just what we do. It is just our natural frequency. Now, what do you choose to intentionally allow
Hmm.
yourself to receive? And that's when you can tune your energy. That's when you can tune your focus to being the person who already has what you desire. And then you can watch the things just unfold so quickly.
Oh, I just love that. And I love that you trademarked manifestation in motion. One of the things that I teach in Oracle School and pretty much all my courses is that we're stories in motion. And
Oh,
that, yeah. And I know we were trying to figure out how we know each other. Like, we're like, we're twins. We don't know why. It is that alignment of, and the Oracle cards can actually reflect the story in motion as you are a manifestation emotion. We'll talk again
yes.
about that some other time. But anyway, this is all about you. This is fascinating to me. I love this conversation. So let's talk about some more things in your toolkit that everyone needs to know about today. I'd love for you to describe what is quantum manifesting.
Oh, yay. Okay. So anyone that like, do you guys remember? I could be aging myself, but you remember Quantum Leap, that
Yes, listen,
that
I'm
show?
64. Okay, so 64 years old here. Okay, so
Okay.
1958.
47.
Yeah. Okay,
46. 46. I
I'm
just aged myself here.
yeah, and I'm old enough to be your mom. Okay, so yes, I remember that.
You remember?
I'll
So
remember everything that you say.
yay! I'm so glad. Okay. So I loved Quantum Leap. That was like the show, right? And it was like
Uh-huh.
he would, be one place and then he would leap into another,
Yep.
baby body, another situation, another state and time. What I like to do, let's simplify quantum. Like, I won't take you to quantum physics class, even though I love to
No,
geek
no.
out on
Yeah,
that
me
stuff.
too.
But let's just keep it simple. What if you could see that everything, every situation, every circumstance is all available to you, all happening at once, and it's all at a frequency, right? And so it's kind of like a radio dial where you have this radio that is capable of playing thousands and thousands of stations, but you get to turn your Sirius radio or your radio dial, depending on who you are, to a
Yeah.
specific channel to say, hey, I want to hear hip hop, or I want to hear pop, or I want to hear country, I want to hear this. And you get to turn the dial to specific things. And so if you knew in the quantum, right? And if we knew
Hmm.
that quantum is within us, right? What did I say? God is
Hmm.
within us and
Yep.
all around us. Within the quantum is every single possibility, all of your desires. And really, all you are being asked to is to match the frequency of the whatever you desire,
Right.
you know?
Hmm.
And so where quantum manifestation comes in, I people think quantum means like a big leap. It doesn't.
Right.
It's tiny, tiny, tiny. It's this tiniest thing that you do that has a huge, huge
Uh-huh.
result. Okay. So it's not like I have to, effort and move. No, quantum leap happens in the tiny, tiny steps. But it's all about the energy that you are being when you take those tiny steps. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. So let me ask, would it be a good example would be feeling enthusiastic about the outcome there, where we don't even need to wait for the evidence. The outcome is in the mind, in the imagination. It's the divine mind, the divine love, divine inspiration. It comes from spirit, right? Only
Yes.
we're enthusiastic about it. We bring that emotion to the table too. Would that be a good example of
Yes.
that?
I have, you know what? I have a couple, good story. I'm going to give you one
Okay, love
example
it.
that everyone will get. Okay. So I have a client who's also a very, very good friend of mine. And a few years ago, she really wanted to be vice president. That was her dream. She's like, I want to be vice president at this specific company.
I
Now,
was going to say, was that Kamala Harris?
yeah,
You did a good job.
no, yeah, go Kamala. No, not Kamala.
Well, that
But
was good.
that would have been cool. No, it was of a company, right? So at the
Okay.
time, she was at a level, she didn't have any direct reports. She was at probably one of the, like, right above the lowest level you could be in that company, right? And so logically, if you looked at it, it would take her 10, 15 years to become vice president of a lot of hard work and all the things. And we were
Yeah.
like, no, that's not the way it gets to be for you. So I asked her, I said, okay, you desire to be vice president. What are some of the things, the thoughts that a vice president would make? What are some of the actions that a vice president would take? What is the feeling that you believe you're going to feel when you're vice president? And so she was like, I would feel empowered. She said, I would feel successful. I would feel joyful. And I said, okay, we're going to start feeling that now. But in
Yeah.
addition to that, right, embodying those feelings was also giving herself permission to take vice president and make vice president moves. So we used to call them her DPM, her director moves, her vice president moves. She was going to make those moves now as the person who she was. And so
Right.
that has to do with, she would go to work. She had a playlist that she would put on so that she would get into the feeling, the frequency feeling.
Yep.
But she didn't stop there. She would get to work and they'd be in a meeting and she would say, what would the vice president say right now? And so she would be like, oh, this is my opinion about something. She would give her opinion, not ask for
Right.
permission first. She would
Uh-huh.
recommend things, not ask, what do you think I should do? She became the vice president before she was making vice president money, before she was positioned as a vice president. And then all of a sudden, it was a few months later, she was promoted to director, which was like several rungs up. And then a few months
Uh-huh.
after that, she was promoted to vice president. So
I
she
mean, come
did
on.
that
Isn't
in
that great?
isn't that crazy? 9 months she did what should have taken 20 years. She collapsed time because she chose to be the vice president without needing the title. She chose to embody that feeling and bring that confidence, bring that energy to her job that she was doing now. She didn't make what she was less than. She just decided that I get to be more of the fullness. And so what I love to say, quantum manifestation, is that you're being more fullness. You're being even more infiniteness. You're experiencing even more God in you.
Oh,
And that's what you get to walk forward and do.
I love this conversation. Okay. So, this is so exciting. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. And I want to talk about human design because
Okay.
you're an expert in human design. So, what is possible when using human design as a tool? So let's first of all break down what it is, and then you can tell me like how people can apply it because I do find this is totally fascinating and I want to hear more about it myself anyway.
Yes, yes. So human design is a modality that was created by in 1987, and what it did was take a lot of different modalities and put them together. So astrology, you had the Chinese I Ching, and when they looked at some things, you would, based on your date of birth, based on your time of birth and your place of birth, then it would say that you have this certain look in your centers and your body, and this certain way of making decisions or certain way of interacting with the environment.
Hmm.
So what I like to do, I have taken human design and I have broken out the boxes. Does that make sense?
Right.
So like I
Yes.
love to say because I've seen a lot of people use human design and, oh, I'm a manifester, or oh, I'm a generator, or oh, I'm a manifesting generator or a projector, and use it to box themselves and limit what they can do. And
Right.
so what I've done is just trash all of that and say, what is your body telling you? Because that was the purpose of human design, was for you to get more into listening to your body and out of the mind.
Oh, interesting. Because I actually have found too, I've always been curious about human design, and as I mentioned to you earlier, I had a chart done and everything, based on two different birth times, actually, because I had not gotten clarity around my birth times, and then I had my chart rectified. And what was interesting, I understood that about that boxing in, because all of a sudden one looked very different than the other, and I'm like, okay, but I'm actually a little bit of both. So why? So I thought, so there has to be some fluidity around this, and I wonder who does that. And of course, then we found you, because you can get very boxed in. You think that, oh, this is just me, and this is the only thing I look at. Yeah. So tell me about the boxes, about how you broke out the boxes, and
Yeah, so
yeah,
I love the way you say that. I want to build upon that for 1 second, because
sure.
you'll have a lot of people that'll say, "Oh, I'm a projector, so projectors aren't supposed to have energy. So now I have no energy." And I'm like, "Forget that. It's not about you not having energy. It's about more listening to your body and seeing, okay, if I need to rest, I get to rest. I'm a generator, supposedly, right? According to
Right.
that. And I don't want to work all day. That's not what I'm made to
No.
do, right? So I find it interesting that a manifester who created the system, all of a sudden 70% of the work, the people are supposed to do the work and then other people aren't. I was like, that's interesting. So that's why I said, really, the empowering way to use the system is to say, oh, that's interesting. Now, what is my body telling me? What
Uh-huh.
feels expansive? Because when you can listen to your truth system, your heart, when you can feel like listen to your body and say, "Oh, that resonates," right? I don't know how, or I don't know what to do next, but that resonates with me. Then you can start to listen to yourself and start trusting yourself versus what the boxes are telling you. And so, for example, if you saw the chart and it said, "Oh, you're a manifesting generator," and then you heard someone say, "Oh, manifesting generators like to do multiple things, and they love to like do a lot of things at one time." And then you say, "Oh, wow, yes, I love to do a lot of things at one time." That's enough. Now you get to
Yeah.
give yourself permission and say, "See, I knew it. I knew I'd love to do a lot of things at one time. And I know that have the full energy to really experience all of the different dimensional things that I love to do." Right? So
Yeah.
that's a way to use
Uh-huh.
a system that's going to support you and not put you in a box where you're like, well, now I'm limited. Well, I'm not a manifestor, so I can't make decisions like that. Or I have to wait until somebody outside of me tells me something. Hell no. That is something that felt so not right for me, to say, oh, you're a generator, so you can't listen to your source, right? You can't listen to
Right.
downloads. And I said, that does not sit right with me. In fact, the reason why I'm where I am is because of my downloads. It's because of God speaking through me. It's
Right.
because of the God voice. And so I said, well, how could we use this system in a more empowering way instead of a
Yeah.
boxing way? And that's the way to use it. You look at it, you say, oh, this is interesting. Okay, let me play with this. Let me experiment. Let me see what my body is telling me, and just use it as more of a, let me understand my body, because we've been divorced from our body for so long.
Mm-hmm.
You can use this to bring you back to understanding your body.
I
I
love
love
the way you describe this. It's as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, because you're definitely an innovator. You take these
Yes.
systems, and I've done the same thing with oracle cards. I took all those ancient divination systems and say, okay, well, that doesn't fit to where we are now, but parts of it do, components of this do. How can we explore and experiment and innovate so that it's a better vibrational match to where we are now in our consciousness? So yeah, I totally get it. Like it's very, very interesting what you're talking about. So, okay, let's talk about a couple of other different things. So I want to know, what are some of your favorite things to do to raise your vibration?
Ooh, oh my God, there's so many. Well, like you said in the intro, I'm the vibration lifter and the energy shifter. So sometimes I don't need to do anything, but Okay, there are certain things that I love, and what you get to do is say, okay, in order to allow myself to naturally raise to the frequency that you're naturally at, right? Your natural vibration is a higher vibration. That's where you get to be. What are some of the things that you absolutely love? For me, I love to I have this really cool CEO playlist, and I love to listen to that. And when I'm driving, I'm like, yay! I recently got a Tesla. It's almost a year old now,
A
and I
Tesla.
love, like, yes, I love my Tesla. I love her so much. Her name is Angel,
I was going
and
to ask
she's
what her
all
name is.
white. Yes, her name is Angel. She's all white on the outside. White is my favorite color, and she's all white in the inside. She's so
Ooh,
beautiful.
oh
I
my
love her.
God, she must be stunning.
She's stunning. I love her. So I love to, like, drive her. She's so quiet and she's amazing. And so that raises my vibe, just really tapping in and reminding myself what I've allowed, what I've co-created in this world.
Mm-hmm.
I am an entertainment nut. So I love reality TV because I get most of my content from reality TV. So I'm like,
That's
oh, look
funny.
at this, look at this. I don't judge anything. I'm just like, oh, that's so interesting, right? What can I write about this? How can people learn more about this, right? So I love entertainment. I love movies, and I just love immersing myself in different worlds, and that helps me raise
Yeah.
my vibration. There's so many other ways. Of course, meditating, of course, definitely
Mm-hmm.
helps. Moving my body, whether it's to, like I said, a really fun song, that helps to, like, ground me. And then I can, like, really sit with, and listen to my breath. Like, I love breath work. That helps to, like, release the emotions and also just naturally raise you to, like, that neutral point. And
Yes,
then
that
from there,
yes,
I can
yes, yes.
build from there. So there's so many tools and so many
Uh,
things I do.
I love that. Okay, I've got to ask you this. Have you ever seen Love is Blind?
Oh my God, I love Love
Isn't
is
that the
Blind.
best? Did you see Love is Blind Brazil or Love is
I
Blind
haven't.
Japan?
I need to
Oh,
watch those too. My sister told me. I have a whole, like, thing written about for the first two. What was the first two that got engaged on Love is Blind? The first one. Now I don't even
I
remember
can't
the
remember
name.
their names, but I know it's like I
Whole
love them
thing.
too. I don't that's the only reality shows I watch are those shows, and I'm that's my guilty pleasure, and the rest of it for me is British period dramas where
I
everyone falls in love.
love period
You
films.
do too? Oh my
Yes. I
God.
watch
I
anything
know,
that's
see?
period,
Me
anything.
too. Give me some costumes and some
Yes.
corsets, and
Yes.
then and yeah, and like I don't know why, but I do. I know my husband like raises his eyebrows. Another Downton Abbey kind of thing,
Oh,
like
Downton Abbey, the new,
Bridgerton. Mm-hmm.
it's Bridgerton's awesome. Like, anything.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah, me too. Oh my gosh. Okay, you see, everybody in the Wooniverse, we talk about reality shows. All right,
Yes.
so I'm gonna ask you a question. You are a pageant winner at the Miss Universe contest, and you are giving your acceptance speech. What do you feel is most important to our world right now?
A big part of why I'm here is to help people accept each other, right? It's about
Mm,
acceptance. And
yep.
when we can fully accept others, their ability to show up as them and love each other regardless of their opinion. I don't have to agree with you in order to
Hmm.
love you, and I don't have to agree with you in order to accept you as that's an interesting point of view.
Hmm.
Okay. And so the more we can accept others, accept everyone to have their own agency, to make their own choices
Yep.
in life, is really going to help the world just expand
Yeah.
into our greatness. Because right now, when we're judging each other and you're wrong and this person's wrong and
Hmm.
you don't have the same opinion as I have, so I'm not going to listen to you, we're cutting ourselves off from all of this beautiful expansion that we get to experience. And I'm not saying you have to champion someone who has a strong
Hmm.
opinion that's totally opposite you. Just accept it that that's what it
Yep.
is. And then you get to move on forward with yours.
it's like being in the middle of the bridge,
Yeah.
and being able to see and say, meet me in the middle of the bridge. And I don't need to agree with you, but I can hear you and
Mhm.
respect the
Yeah.
differences that we have that make that unity and diversity that we all need, I love that you said that. It's true. You don't need to champion somebody whose opinions or ideas or concepts are different than yours, but like you said, radical acceptance that everyone gets to be who they're supposed to be in this world. And
Yeah.
it takes the pressure off of trying to control everything all the time and make it all be a certain way because, yeah. So let's pull a card together
Yeah.
and see if there's anything else that the Wooniverse wants us to talk about. So I'm going to use the Shaman's Dream Oracle. I co-created this
Ooh.
with Alberto Villaldo. It's based on our joint backgrounds in Jungian psychology. So it's really about the
Ooh.
archetype of the shaman as opposed to anything to do with cultural shamanism, which I am not a shaman. So, but it is true that all of us have been inadvertently thrown into an initiation of sorts
Yes.
as our species goes through a major change. So what does spirit, God, source want us to talk about that we might not have spoken about? Oh, Fortune's Wheel, which is about right timing and creating our own luck.
Ooh.
Right divine timing. So I want your take on that. Oh, let me just tell you mine first because I know my cards.
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
please.
So the card represents the need to surrender to divine timing, right? That we receive not according to our timetable, but that luck, that the idea that when synchronicity comes together and all the parts come together, we have a part in creating that. That's the action, the do of the woo that you talked about earlier. But, ultimately that the form and the timing is none of our business,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So what do you see about that?
I love that. I love that you mentioned the surrender because remember, time is a construct, right? And so even when we say divine timing, we're limiting God because time is a construct, right? And
Right.
so the more we just accept that it is inevitable what we desire, and then you're not looking for when is it coming, you're just like it's
Mm.
unfolding in every moment. And you're able to be present in the now because the now is when it's all being created in the first place.
Oh, I love that. That's one of the reasons why I moved from, because I made my living as a predictive reader for like 25 years. And then I moved into coaching and strategy because I thought, no, 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 no. What if this person could co-create something greater than what we're seeing from this vantage point? This is just from the now, right now. And I'm just seeing that this potentiality comes from this. What if, we surrendered into that limitless possibility and
Mm.
find out what your body says, what does source say that's possible for you. And yeah, I really love this conversation.
Oh my God, can I
Okay.
say one more thing
Yes,
about
of
that?
course you could say a million things.
So I was like, yes. So when you were saying I loved readings, I love getting readings. Not to say that maybe you are on my list of things that I'm like, ooh, Oracle card, what's going on today? Right. But what I always said about readings was they're reading one of the possibilities, which where it could be where you're trending. And you get to shift
Yes,
where you're trending. And so that
exactly.
is so powerful because you get to use that card and say, oh, this is where my energy is kind of guiding me to. Where would I like to go? Is this in alignment with where I want to go? Or do I want to redirect and go in a different way? And then you can just that quickly shift. And that's the power of what you
Right.
do. And oh my God, yes.
No, and I love this. This is so key and important for people to hear this because when you said you are looking at what's trending, I've actually never heard that term, but I get it. And I'm like, oh, that's such a better way of saying it. Yeah, this is the possible trend where your energy is going. Do you really want to go do that? And that actually happened to me when I was young. I was told by this very famous psychic that I would never have a faithful partner. In this lifetime, I was meant to live the life of an ascetic, basically not be successful at anything. I was listening to this and I'm like, no. Right? So
Interesting.
but at the time, I was, I've been clean and sober now 36 and a half years. And at the time, I was still drinking and drugging. And that person, the me then, would have exactly co-created that life had I not surrendered to God and, and turn my addictions over and find that spiritual path. And I completely redirected that. So I was trending in that direction. And that was a wake-up call going, is that going to be my life? Hell no. Right. And I'm like, I must be doing something here. And then you would get out of your denial. So I love that you said that. Yes, it's just showing you what's trending.
Yes.
And is this still in alignment with you? Is this a confirmation? Great. This, not so much. So I'm going to pay attention to that so I can shift that energy. Yes. This is fabulous. Yes. So now we're going to switch gears and travel into another dimension of the Wooniverse, and it's called the Tea Time After Party, a place where we kick up the fun. Joining us now is my executive producer, Connie Diletti. Are you ready, Christine and Connie?
Yes.
Ready.
Yes, yes.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm going to start. If you could have a magic power, what would it be and what would you use it for?
Ooh, oh my God. Because I already think I'm magical. So I'm like, oh, more magic? Like,
yeah, more. Extra magic power.
Extra magic.
I would want to be able to, and it is, I think I already do this, but I would always want to be able to walk into a room and expand people's hearts, open their hearts up and make them love themselves even more, make them feel even more joyful. And it's funny because I already do that. Like I can sit in the car and someone's having a bad day and then they leave the car and they're having a great day. But I would really want to be able to turn it on and
go like this.
Yeah.
Love it.
Like go on the internet and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then come on, everybody's like, joy.
Right. Get those trolls
that.
singing joy. Yes. Joy to the world. I'm happy
Yes.
today. I have nothing to say. I've changed my mind. Goodbye.
We love everything about you. Yes. My life is
Yes. That is amazing. I love that.
Okay, Christine, you meet an extraterrestrial. They are deciding to move here. What would you tell them about living on Earth?
Oh, living on Earth is so fun. Like you really actually get to create your reality, like for real. So when you come to Earth, first pick a really nice beach town because I love the beach. And then secondly, really it's your kindness and the way you interact with people really gets reflected back to you. And so I'd remind the extraterrestrial that it's really how you interact with people with what you receive back. And then don't take some people in some areas like Florida. I love Florida, but don't take everyone so seriously. Like sometimes they're cuckoo crazy and it's okay.
Sometimes they're cuckoo crazy. Okay, you're here on Earth, and sometimes people are cuckoo crazy, but don't take it personally.
Right.
Don't take it personally. It is what it is.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Okay, so what is one of your favorite subjects to go down the rabbit hole on?
Oh my gosh. Like I love to go down the rabbit hole of manifestation and quantum. I know this is my work, but just listening and seeing some of the different ways of when you talk about quantum scientists and then they're saying, yes, and we put this thing in the box and then when you look at the box, it's alive. And then you look at the other box, it's like, oh my God, really? Anything that's mystical, magical, if there's a television show or something on Netflix and it's mystical, I'm like, because I just love to see anything that's out of the ordinary because, we're not ordinary. And so anything that just seems like it's, there was this show about mediums, and anything that's like a show about mediums, a show that's, about magic, anything that's mystical. I will be there and I will be watching and I will be Googling it to see what's going on and how much more can I learn about it, because I just love to stretch my imagination about what is possible, because the more I see, the more I can let into my own world,
That's great. I love that. Okay, my turn. You have to wear a t-shirt with one word on it for a whole year.
Ooh.
What word would you choose?
Oh, aligned.
Aligned. Yeah.
You
You're
answered that so fast.
you're
That's
good
great.
at marketing and PR.
Yeah.
You are
20 years, you know.
And just letting y'all know that's the name of her book too.
right?
Aligned.
Yeah.
Just in case anyone wondered.
Just in case, if you want to know
That's-
what that's referencing.
Yeah,
see.
it's on the back of the T-shirt. It's on the back.
But I really do feel like, and then it would always just remind me that I get to align with what I desire. You know, I'm aligned. I am aligned.
Oh, I love that.
You have to spend $10,000
Ooh.
in 1 hour. What would you spend it on?
Ooh. I would spend it on a vacation. Like I would go and buy like a really cool. I love St. John and I love the Virgin Islands, but I also love British Virgin Islands. And so I would take that 10,000 and I would get like a home that's on one of the hills overlooking like the water, and I would fly like my sister and my friends and we would like live it up.
I love it.
that. I
That would
love
be
that.
so nice.
Okay, now we're new friends. Could I?
You're invited.
Just,
You're invited.
Roll this
You're-
plane, go to Canada. Yes.
just saying. I'm booking myself in that vacation.
Yes, I would be in Joost Van Dyke. Come on, ladies.
Oh,
Yeah, nice. We're there.
okay. You are banned from the library.
Ooh.
Why?
I love this question.
Me too.
It's probably because I lost my temper and yelled at the woman who had her child. Okay, I wrote the aligned receiver in the library because I needed to get out of the house. And I was like, where's a place that I could go that it would be quiet? So I thought. And I go to the library and at 2:00 every day, this lady would come with her child and give them like not headphones, but like music and
like this is a real story.
noisy sandwich toys. I mean, noisy food. And I was like,
This is actually real. We thought you'd be making up a story.
I was like, oh my God. So yeah, I probably would have lost my temper and told her to take her and her child and go away.
Oh my
And
God.
they would have
But
kicked me out.
they would have, yes, but they didn't. But okay, like I'm like, wait. Did you say that?
I
Did they
didn't.
kick you out?
I just decided today was not the time to continue writing, and I left.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. To see all of Christine Michelle's offerings, including her Quantum Manifesting membership, you can find her online at alignedsoul.com. I also want to mention that a link to her fabulous book, Aligned Receiver, and to her matching journal are in our show notes. So if you love what you heard from Christine here today and want to learn more, check those links in our show notes. Thank you so much, Christine. It was such a pleasure to speak with you today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. I had so much fun. I haven't laughed this much in a while. This is so fun.
And you'll be back for sure.
Thank you.
So what did we learn from this extraordinary and exciting conversation with Christine Michelle? You know, for me, it was all about source, God, higher power. And of course, I chose the higher power card from my Oracle card deck, Wisdom of the Oracle. And I'm going to read a sentence from the guidebook because it's just so perfect. You are more than a person trying to get ahead and make things happen for yourself and others. You have an immortal soul and are gifted with a human life through which a higher power can express itself. So when you think about it, just as she said, if you desire it, if it is inspired, it is of the Spirit. And if it is of the Spirit, it is inevitable. You've been listening to Inside the Wooniverse. I'm your host, Colette Baron-Reid. Until next time, be well.